Hi, Nana. See, in our previous class, we have studied about coordinate valency and coordinate covalent bond. Now, we will study the differences between electrovalent and covalent compounds. Electrovalent means ionic compounds, and covalent compounds. The difference between ionic compounds and covalent compounds. So, electrovalent compounds or ionic compounds, they are not true molecules. Ionic compounds are not true molecules, whereas covalent compounds, they are true molecules. For example, take carbon dioxide or methane or water molecule, etc. See, if you take, every molecule is a separate molecule. CO2 if I take, so the arrangement of carbon and two oxygens will be like this: one carbon and two oxygens. Methane, so simply it is a molecule, it's a separate molecule. Okay, so there are so many methane molecules and there is no link between these molecules. So this is an individual molecule, this is an individual molecule, and this, so all methane, if you take methane gas in a cylinder, so what are all these particles are methane molecules. All these particles are methane molecules. So methane molecules. So there is no link between one molecule and another molecule. These molecules are not connected to each other. But in case of ionic compounds, for example, take sodium chloride. So in sodium chloride, how the here in this ions are present. Here positive and negative ions are present. How they are present? For example, if one positive ion is there, if one sodium ion is there, it is surrounded by so many chloride ions. It is surrounded by so many chloride ions. And if chloride ion is there, it is surrounded by so many sodium ions. Okay, so like this the arrangement of ions will be in the ionic compounds. So if this is the case, then we cannot say, because we cannot say individual molecule, because how can we say NaCl means is it this one, or else this one, or else this one, or else this one? We cannot predict, or else we cannot say perfectly, because this sodium is attracted by this chlorine, this chlorine, this chlorine, this chlorine. So it is forming bond this side, NaCl, and it is forming bond this side also, NaCl. It is forming with this chloride ion also, NaCl, and even with this chloride ion also it is forming NaCl. So if I say NaCl, so which one it is? We cannot say perfectly. Hence they are not said to be true molecules. Okay, so simply we can say that they are group, or else group of positive and negative ions, or else aggregates of positive and negative ions, but they are not individual molecules. Whereas covalent compounds, they are individual molecules. Each and every particle, they are separate. Okay, we can easily separate each and every molecule, they are individual molecules. Okay, so like this, electrovalent compounds and covalent compounds, if you say the covalent compounds are true molecules, whereas electrovalent compounds are, they are not true molecules, simply they are aggregates, or else they are gathered positive and negative ions. Right. So now if you take about ionic compounds or electrovalent compounds, they are usually crystalline solids. They are usually crystalline solids. They are usually crystalline solids. Okay, these compounds, for example, NaCl or KCl or any ionic compound, if you take, so they are in the form of crystalline solids. They are available in the form of crystalline solids in the nature. Okay, but the covalent compounds are usually gases. They are usually gases or liquids, or they may be soft solids. They may be soft solids. Okay, they are usually gases or liquids or soft solids. Okay. Like that. The next point. So I mean this makes the difference between the ionic compounds and covalent compounds. And the third difference is they have high melting points and boiling points. That means melting points and boiling points are high. That means to melt an ionic solid into liquid, it requires very high temperatures, or else to make the liquid form of ionic compound to evaporate, or else to vaporize into vapor, so it requires high temperature. Boiling point means boiling temperature. That means a liquid to convert into vapor, so it requires some temperature. We have to heat a liquid to convert into vapor, so that temperature is said to be boiling point, or else boiling temperature. The temperature at which a liquid boils and turns into vapor is said to be boiling point. So here for electrovalent compounds, melting points and boiling points are high. But for covalent compounds, so the melting point and boiling points are low. Okay, they can be, because most of them are gases. Gases means already they might have converted into liquids before only, and they might have converted into, from solid to liquid, and from liquid to gas, they have converted in before the room temperature only, below the room temperature. So because they are usually exist as gases at room temperature, that means before below the room temperature only, they might have been existing as liquids, and they might have been existing as solids. So that means melting points and boiling points are said to be very low for covalent compounds. Okay, that means melting temperature, as they were solids at very low temperatures. Okay, so to melt those solids, it requires very less temperature. Okay, so like that, simply melting points and boiling points are low for covalent compounds. In the same way, the fourth difference is they are usually insoluble in organic solvents. They are insoluble in organic solvents. Example, kerosene. Okay, kerosene, benzene, carbon tetrachloride, etc. Suppose if you take some kerosene, take some kerosene oil and put ionic compound NaCl, uppu, sodium chloride, salt. So if you keep some salt in kerosene, that salt, it remains as salt only, it does not dissolve. It still remains as crystal for any length of time. So they cannot dissolve in the kerosene. Okay, so that means kerosene is an organic solvent. So kerosene is an organic solvent, whereas sodium chloride is ionic compound. Okay, ionic compound or covalent compound. So it does not dissolve. Hence, ionic substances or else ionic compounds are insoluble in organic solvents. Whereas covalent substances, if you take covalent substances, they are soluble in organic compounds. They are soluble in organic compounds. Take any covalent compound. For example, sugar, or else any, in general, covalent compounds, they are soluble in organic compounds. They are soluble in organic compounds. Example, rubber. Rubber is an organic compound. Is soluble. Rubber is soluble in carbon disulfide. So carbon disulfide is an organic solvent. Okay, organic solvents examples if I take, so carbon disulfide, etc. Okay, carbon disulfide. Rubber is an organic substance. It is soluble in carbon disulfide. Okay, that means ionic compounds are insoluble in organic solvents, whereas covalent compounds are soluble in organic solvents. Like this. Next difference. Point. So the next difference is they are soluble. Ionic compounds are soluble in water. They are soluble in water. They are soluble in water. Ionic compounds are soluble in water. Whereas covalent compounds, they are insoluble in water. Insoluble in water. Because we have to always remember that like dissolves like. That means ionic substances or polar substances, they are soluble in polar solvents like water. Whereas non-polar substances, they are soluble in non-polar solvents like organic compounds. Organic solvents like kerosene, benzene, petroleum, etc. Carbon disulfide, carbon tetrachloride, etc. So here, as water is a polar solvent, covalent compounds are insoluble in polar solvents. In general, covalent compounds are insoluble in polar solvents like water. Next. Their aqueous solutions. See, ionic compounds, their solutions, they contain free ions in their liquid form. In their liquid form. Liquid form means liquid form. What is the meaning of liquid form? Either in molten state. Molten state means, so when they melt. Okay, molten state, it is also called as fused state. It is also called as fused state. Molten state or fused state, or else in aqueous solutions. In aqueous solution. What is the meaning of aqueous solution? Aqueous solution means dissolved in water. When sodium chloride is dissolved in water, so for example, if I take water and put sodium chloride, if I put sodium chloride into water, what happens? So this sodium chloride will break down into sodium ion and chloride ions. Sodium ion and chloride ions. Into sodium ions and chloride ions, that sodium chloride will break. So what happens? Free ions will form. When ionic substance is added into water, so free ions will form. Now this solution is said to be aqueous solution of sodium chloride. So that means in aqueous solutions you will find free ions. Whenever free ions are present, possible, then they can conduct electricity. Therefore, their molten state and aqueous solution, okay, conduct electricity. They are good conductors of electricity. Which one? Ionic compounds, when they are in molten state or else in aqueous solution, they conduct electricity. Hence, they are good conductors of electricity. The same ionic compound, if they are in solid form, the solid ionic compound is it does not conduct electricity. So I am writing this point here. Solid ionic compound do not possess what? Free ions. They do not possess free ions. Therefore, do not conduct. Therefore, they do not conduct electricity. They do not conduct electricity. Okay. So, which one? When the ionic compounds are in solid form, solid ionic compounds do not possess free ions. Ionic substances, they possess ions, but those ions are tightly packed. Okay, one ion is surrounded by so many oppositely charged ions. Hence, those ions, they do not move freely. They are tightly packed. Okay, strong electrostatic force of attractions are there between the ions. Hence, the ions do not move in the solid form. Hence, you don't find free ions. So, as they do not possess free ions, therefore, they do not conduct electricity. Though they are ionic compounds, but in solid form, they do not conduct electricity. But the same ionic compound, when they are in liquid form, that means when they are in molten state or in aqueous solutions, they conduct electricity, because of the in liquid form they possess free ions. So what is a necessary thing for the conduction? If there are liquids, they should possess free ions. If they are solids, they should possess free electrons. Okay, solids should possess free electrons to conduct electricity, whereas liquids should possess free ions to conduct electricity. In case of solid ionic compounds, there are no free electrons or else no free ions. Hence, they do not conduct electricity. Okay, right. If you speak about covalent compounds, in covalent compounds, actually, they do not possess any free ions. Do not form what? Free ions in fused state. Fused means molten state. In fused state or in aqueous solutions, or in their aqueous solutions. Okay, so they do not form free ions. Okay, therefore do not conduct electricity. They do not conduct electricity. Okay, covalent compounds, they never form free ions, or else they never contain free electrons in their solid state, or else they never form free ions in their liquid state. Hence, they never conduct electricity. Okay, so they are said to be bad conductors of electricity. Which one? Covalent compounds are bad conductors of electricity. Therefore, bad conductors. Bad conductors of electricity. So like this. So these are some of the important difference between the differences between electrovalent and covalent compounds. Right. Now we will learn the next concept. What is that next concept? Oxidation and reduction on the basis of electron transfer. Oxidation and reduction on the basis of electron transfer. Oxidation and reduction on the basis of electron transfer. Right. See, what is oxidation? Oxidation. Oxidation means loss of electrons. Oxidation means loss of electrons. That means if an atom or ion loses electrons, then oxidation is said to be occur. Then oxidation of the atom, okay, or ion, is said to be happen. That means what is happened? Okay, what is happened? Oxidation is said to be happen. Okay, or else oxidation is said to be taken place. Happen or taken place. If you see an example, see sodium is a metal. Generally metals lose electrons. So sodium, it loses one electron and forms Na plus. Why? Because this is unstable atom. It loses one electron and becomes stable ion. So here sodium is said to be oxidation of sodium has occurred. Okay, so oxidation of sodium has taken place. Sodium atom is oxidized to sodium ion. Sodium atom is oxidized to sodium ion. Take another example. Fe plus 2. Fe plus 2 is less stable. It is called as ferrous ion. If it loses one electron, it becomes Fe plus 3. That means this ion is losing electron to form more stable ion. This is also an ion, but more stable. So it is called as ferric ion. So ferric ion is more stable than ferrous ion. So that means here what happened? Ferrous ion is oxidized to ferric ion. Ferrous ion is oxidized is oxidized to ferric ion. Is oxidized to ferric ion. So that means oxidation of atom or oxidation of ion has taken place if they lose electrons. Okay. Next, what is reduction? Reduction. Reduction. What is reduction? Reduction means gain of electrons. Gain of electrons. See, oxidation and reduction, these two are opposite processes. So reduction means gain of electrons. When an atom or ion, if an atom or ion gains electron, if an atom or ion gains electron, sometimes more than sometimes there may be atoms may gain more than one electrons also. If an atom or ion gains electrons, okay, then reduction of here oxidation. Loses electrons means oxidation. Here gains electrons means what happened? Then reduction, okay, of the reduction of the atom or ion, has is said to be taken place. Is said to be taken place. Okay. If you take an example, this chlorine atom, if it gains one electron, it forms a chloride ion. So this is unstable atom. After getting one electron into its valence shell, then it becomes a chloride ion, which is a stable. It has noble gas configuration, whereas chlorine atom, it does not have noble electron configuration. Okay, it is chloride ion has inert gas configuration. Okay, so that means chlorine atom okay is reduced to chloride ion. CHLORIDE, chloride ion. Okay, in the same way, let us learn about ions. Fe plus 3 ion, or else take another ion, Sn plus 4 ion. If it gains electrons, it forms Sn plus 2 ion. So this is known as stanic ion. This is stannous ion. Okay. So what has happened? Stanic ion is reduced to stannous ion. Stanic ion is reduced. It is reduced to stannous ion. Okay. So look here, the more positive valency state of tin and the less positive valency state of tin. So more positive state is always called as ick form. Ik ion. Ik ion means more valency. As ion, OUS. As ion means as OUS. As ion means less valency. So like this. So when more valency, that means here tin Sn plus 4 is converted into Sn plus 2. If Sn plus 4 is converted into, if Sn plus 4 is converted into Sn plus 2, okay, that means stannic is converted into stannous, then it is said to be reduction. Reduction of stannic has taken place, okay, to form a stannous ion. So like this, this is an example for reduction. So example for reductions. Now let us learn some more terms like oxidizing agent and reducing agent. Oxidizing agent and reducing agent. What is oxidizing agent? Atom or ion which gains electrons. Okay. The atom or ion, okay, which gains electron, okay, is said to be oxidizing agent. Okay. Oxidizing agent means it may be the atom or it may be the ion which gains electrons. Is said to be oxidizing agent. For example, if I take bromine and add one electron, it becomes Br minus. So this atom has gained one electron, okay, and has become Br minus. So what happened to this bromine atom? Bromine atom has reduced to bromide ion. Bromine atom is reduced. It is reduced to bromide ion. Bromide ion. Okay. Bromide ion. Bromide ion by taking electron. By taking electron. So that means it is gaining electron. Hence it is said to be oxidizing agent. Therefore, bromine atom is called as oxidizing agent. Oxidizing agent. Okay. Bromine atom is called as oxidizing agent. Right. In the same way, if you take oxygen, it gains 2 electrons. Okay. It may single electron or more than 1 electron. So it may be electron or electrons. Okay. So oxygen, after gaining 2 electrons, it becomes O minus 2. This is called as oxide ion. Oxygen atom, oxide ion. Okay. Oxygen atom is converted into oxide ion. So what is happening? Oxygen atom is reduced. It is reduced to oxide ion. It is reduced to oxide ion. When oxygen atom is reduced to oxide ion, okay, by taking electron, or by accepting electron, or by gaining electron. So therefore oxygen atom is called as oxidizing agent. It is called as oxidizing agent. So like that, oxygen is an oxidizing agent. See, look here, one thing we have to remember, that oxidizing agents will always undergo reduction. Oxidizing agents, okay, always undergo reduction. Okay, oxidizing agents undergo always reduction, or else always oxidizing agent undergo reduction. So in the same way, then what is reducing agent? Reducing agent. This is also another term. Generally it is denoted with a Ra. Okay, reducing agent. So what is reducing agent? It may be the atom. It may be the atom or ion. Okay, which loses electrons. Which loses electron or electrons. Okay, for example, take potassium atom. It loses electron to form K plus. That means potassium has lost electron, okay, to form potassium ion. See, ide, here in this case ide means negative ion. Ide, see, bromine is converted into bromide. So this is a non-metal. Non-metal always will generally convert into negative ion. So the negative ion form of non-metal is said to be ide. So this is oxygen, and its a negative ion is said to be oxide. But in case of positive ions, we should not mention them as ides. Okay, so simply for metals, generally metals only lose electrons and form positive ions. So for metals, simply we have to mention the metal ion. If it is potassium atom, potassium ion. But here in this case, oxygen atom, but oxide ion, because oxygen is a non-metal. Okay, non-metal will form ide ions, whereas metal will form that metal ions only. So here we should not mention it as ide. Okay, ide means it is related to negative ions only. Next, one more example. Calcium. See, calcium will lose 2 electrons. Calcium will lose 2 electrons to form Ca plus 2. So this is calcium ion, calcium atom, calcium ion. So now this calcium atom is said to be reducing agent. Okay, these are reducing agents. So what does the reducing agents will do? Reducing agents will lose electrons. For example, if I take Fe plus 3, Fe plus 2, it will lose 1 electron to form Fe plus 3. Hence, this is also a reducing agent. This is also a reducing agent because as it is losing electron. So generally, any atom or ions, they lose electrons during chemical reactions. Okay, this iron Fe plus 2 will lose electrons during chemical reaction and form Fe plus 3. Hence, Fe plus 2 is said to be reducing agent. Okay, listen here. So, as they are losing electrons, so reducing agent, when they lose electrons, they are said to be oxidized. So Fe plus 2 is oxidized to Fe plus 3. Calcium atom is oxidized to calcium plus 2 ion. Potassium atom is oxidized to potassium ion. So when an atom or ion loses electrons, then it is said to be undergone oxidation. Okay, but they are said to be reducing agents. So reducing agents, remember, reducing agents will always undergo will always undergo oxidation. Reducing agents will always undergo oxidation. Remember that oxidizing agents undergo reduction, whereas reducing agents undergo oxidation. So this is the most important thing one should remember. Oxidizing agents will undergo reduction, whereas reducing agents will undergo oxidation. Right. Then we will know about redox reaction, another term known as redox reactions. Redox reaction. Another term known as redox reaction. See, what are redox reactions? Redox reactions are chemical reactions in which loss of electron and gain of electron both occurs. Okay, both takes place simultaneously. Both that means chemical reactions in which both loss of electron and gain of electrons, loss of electrons and gain of electrons takes place simultaneously. That means at the same time. Simultaneously means at the same time. So one substance will lose electrons and another substance will gain electron. Hence simultaneously. Okay. Hence both the oxidation and reduction, both oxidation and reduction occurs simultaneously. What is the meaning of simultaneously? At the same time. At the same time, when oxidation and reduction both occurs at the same time, then such reactions, the chemical reactions in which both oxidation and reduction takes place occurs, or else oxidation and reduction occurs simultaneously, such chemical reactions are said to be redox reactions. Okay. So let us learn few examples related to redox reactions. Examples we will discuss. That means redox reactions are the reactions in which both oxidation and reduction takes place. So with one example we will learn what is redox reaction. For example, potassium metal reacts with chlorine to form potassium chloride. See, potassium metal reacts with chlorine, okay, to form what? Potassium chloride. So balance it. So we will get like this, potassium chloride. Okay. See, this equation can be written like this. See what happens during this process. So this reaction involves two steps. Every potassium atom will lose one electron and forms potassium ion, and every chlorine atom will take that electron and form Cl minus chloride ion. So potassium lose electron and form potassium ion, and that electron is taken by chlorine to form chloride ion. So here two potassium ions will lose two electrons, because every potassium ion will lose one electron. So as there are two potassium ions, so it loses two electrons and forms two potassium ions. Two potassium atoms will lose two electrons and form two potassium ions, and two chlorine atoms, or else Cl2. So Cl2 will take how many electrons? Two electrons. Okay, Cl2 take two electrons to form 2 Cl minus. Every chlorine require only one electron. So like this, if I add these two reactions, what happens? Positive and negative. So this we can cancel. So I can write like this: 2 potassiums plus chlorine gives us to 2K plus ions and Cl minus ions. So what is happening in this process? So this is the first, this is one step, this is another step. Okay, so finally K plus and Cl minus are formed. So here potassium is losing electrons, hence potassium has undergone, it has undergone what? Oxidation. It has undergone oxidation. Okay, chlorine. So chlorine, it is gaining electron. So chlorine has undergone reduction. Okay, potassium has undergone oxidation and form K plus ion, whereas chlorine has undergone reduction to form Cl minus, to form what? Cl minus ions. That means both oxidation and reduction has taken place in the formation of KCl, K plus Cl. It is an ionic compound. KCl is an ionic compound. It contains potassium ions and chloride ions in it. How potassium ion is formed by this reaction? How chloride ion is formed by this reaction? So these two ions, they are opposite in charge. Hence they attract each other to form ionic compound. KCl is that ionic compound. So look here, potassium has undergone oxidation. Hence, therefore, potassium is what? Potassium is reducing agent. Okay, potassium is reducing agent. Here chlorine has undergone reduction. Hence, therefore, chlorine is said to be oxidizing agent. So I can write like this: potassium is reducing agent of chlorine, or chlorine is oxidizing agent. Chlorine is oxidizing agent of potassium. So like we can say either in this way or else in this way. So anyhow, both the things are happening in the same reaction. So such reactions are said to be redox reaction. So this is an example for redox reaction, because this potassium is converting into potassium ion and chlorine is converted into chloride ion. So like this. So KCl contains K plus ions and Cl minus. So in this way, redox reactions are the reactions in which both oxidation and reduction takes place simultaneously. Okay, let us learn one more example. One more example we will see. ferrous chloride. Suppose I have a solution of ferrous chloride, a green colored solution, FeCl2 solution, FeCl2 solution. Into that solution I have sent a chlorine gas. Chlorine gas I have sent into that solution. So chlorine will bubbles into the solution, and this chlorine will start reacting with the FeCl2. That means FeCl2 will react with the chlorine, okay, to form what? Fe plus FeCl3, okay, FeCl3. So this is called as ferrous chloride, and this is called as ferric chloride. So this ferrous chloride, it contains Fe plus 2 ions and chloride ions. Fe plus 2 ions and chloride ions. Okay, so whereas ferric, it contains Fe plus 3 ions and chloride ions. See what is happened? This is chlorine, it is not ion. So in this process what is happening? Already chloride ions are there, and even this chlorine is also converted into chloride ion. So in this process what is happening? Chlorine is converted into chloride ion. That means how it converts into chloride ion? By taking 2 electrons. Okay, it converts into chloride ion. Okay, so here what happened? Already Fe plus 2 is there. Fe plus 2 is there. So Fe plus 2 is converted into Fe plus 3. That means how it converts? If it loses 1 electron, if Fe plus 2 loses 1 electron, it converts into Fe plus 3. So how many Fe plus 2, how many iron atoms are there? 2. Every iron atom will lose 1 electron. If there are 2 iron atoms, they lose 2 electrons together. Together they lose 2 electrons and form 2 Fe plus 3 ions. So like this. Okay, and these chloride ions from this one, how many chloride ions? 4 chloride ions. So they remain as chloride ions only. That means 4 chloride ions. See, 4 chloride ions are there. They remain as chloride ions only. So 4 chloride ions. Altogether, if you add, so plus 2 minus 2 electrons, we can cancel them. Okay, so 4 chloride ions. 4 chloride ions. 2 chloride ions. Oh, altogether, so chlorines are converted to chloride ions. So I can write like this, 4 chloride ions. So 2 Fe plus 2 and 4 chloride ions. 2 plus 2 Fe plus 2 plus 2 Fe plus 2. Actually, so this contains what? 2 Fe plus 2 and 4 chloride ions. So Fe plus 2 and 4 chloride ions, I can write this one as FeCl2. FeCl2. How many? 2 FeCl2 plus this one chlorine gas. Now this one, how many? 2 Fe plus 3 and 6 chloride ions. So here Fe plus 2 is converted into Fe plus 3. That means what has happened? Fe plus 2 is oxidized, so it is losing electrons. Hence it is said to be oxidized. I will write like this. In this reaction, Fe plus 2. In this reaction, Fe plus 2 is oxidized to Fe plus 3. Where does this Fe plus 2 has come? Fe plus 2 has come from ferrous chlorides from the solution. Actually this solution contains what? This solution contains Fe plus 2 ions and Cl minus ions. Okay, so the Fe plus 2 ions in the solution, they are oxidized to Fe plus 3. In the same way, the chlorine gas is reduced. It is reduced to chloride ion. Chlorine gas is reduced to chloride ion. Hence, oxidation of one substance and reduction of another substance is taking place simultaneously. That means at the same time. So this reaction. So the chemical reaction in which both oxidation and reduction is taking place simultaneously. Such reactions are said to be redox reactions. So in this way